For visitors, St. Lucia is a paradise known for its beauty, culture, and rich heritage. But for many of its residents, achieving the dream of home ownership feels increasingly out of reach. The cost of living, limited access to financing, and rising property prices are just a few of the obstacles. Richard Peterkin, an expert economist, discusses the ease of doing business in St. Lucia and the challenges that have left the average St. Lucian struggling to attain what many consider the ultimate goal, the St. Lucian dream of owning a home.
For the first-time buyer, the kind of costs that they have in terms of stamp duties and everything they have to do and dealing with the banks to get the loan, it's just too difficult. So we just have to find ways of making it easier for individuals in our society, in our economy, to be able to do the things that in America they call, the dream. You want a house, you want a decent car, you want to be able to afford to send your children to school and to university if necessary. And all of those things, you try getting a loan from the bank, you try opening a bank account and look at all the difficulties.
Acknowledging the limited role of government in alleviating the challenges faced by homeowners, Peterkin proceeded to point out several factors that contribute to the rising cost of home ownership.
And it's not all government's fault. There's a fairly high percentage that is the problem with the private sector, with the banks, with the other people. For example, when you are buying a house, the person selling has to pay a realtor 5% or 6%. Why do they need 5 or 6%? Why can't it be a negotiated figure? Because that money is going to be impacted in the price. So the buyer, the first-time guy, is having effectively to pay that commission. Even though he's not paying it directly, he's paying it in terms of an increased price. So we have to find all of these ad valorem fees.
The Economist pointed out that since realtors earn a commission based on the house's price, this method can ultimately drive up the cost for the buyer.
There was a time when you could buy a house for $100,000. Now you can't. Your minimum house is going to cost you $500,000 or $600,000, and a better house is over $1 million. And so what it means is if you apply a 5% ad valorem for commission, look at the difference between $100,000 and $1 million. And does the realtor actually do that extra work to sell that house? Some of them do. The better ones will say, I will take that whole sale from cradle to grave. And so I'm justifying my fee.
Peterkin then highlighted the advantages of the way real estate transactions are handled in the United States.
And that's how they work in the States now. So whenever you're selling and buying properties, there are realtors on both sides. And they will work together, try to get that sweet spot of the agreed price, and then bring that whole transaction to a closure in a reasonable period of time. And then they justify the spend, because look at all these things they've been able to do for you. We need to get to that level now where our professionals are actually, doing the work to justify the fees that they charge.
The government of St. Lucia has made strides to make home ownership more accessible through a $20 million loan from the National Insurance Corporation to the St. Lucian Development Bank, offering favorable terms and incentives. Additionally, the St. Lucia Realtors Association is improving transparency and professionalism in the real estate sector. Recently, Denry North MP Sean Edward lauded the efforts of the National Sites and Services Program to make home ownership more accessible. These combined efforts aim to address the limitations and create a more sustainable and inclusive housing market. However, it seems the devil is in the details. 3, 2, 1. However, it seems the devil is in the details. For Choice News Now, I am Darrell Liner.